Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Maria Kashem.
In our show this time, we'll cover the brand new e-bike Hawaii store on Campbell Avenue in Kapahulu. We'll meet the people, see the e-bikes, and find out what they're all about.
We'll see what they and their customers think about the roads, drivers, traffic, and incredible congestion in Honolulu, and how that all dovetails with a fleet of new high-tech e-bikes.
We'll also take a swing through Kaka'ako and see the artists doing the walls again for Powwow 2014. We'll try to figure out how the art and powwow will fare as those big buildings come up and how it can coexist with and survive some of the most intense high-rise development the state has ever seen.
First, we're off to the new and very latest e-bike store, the e-bike Hawaii store in Kapahulu.
High-tech electric bicycles have come of age in Europe, Asia, and on the mainland, where new technologies and designs are coming out every day. The results are innovative and highly efficient e-bikes that provide safe alternative transportation in a way as to make urban automotive use very nearly unnecessary for a lot of people.
This is our electric bike shop. We are a high-end retailer of electric bicycles here on Oahu. For a while, the technology wasn't all there yet, really to be marketable to the general public. But with recent advancements in battery technology and the brushless hub motor, it's enabled a lot more people to get on an e-bike affordably and to be able to have all the benefits and, of course, the fun of riding on an electric-powered bicycle. There's basically two different ways to ride. There's a throttle mode where you're just twisting the throttle, and that'll send you on your way. And then there's also a pedal assist mode, which is also known as pedelec mode. And on that mode, you're basically pedaling along, and the bike will kind of register how much effort you're putting into it, and then will spin the motor accordingly and push you at the same time. We feel is kind of the future for electric bikes is the pedelec mode. It really seamlessly integrates the human power and the electric power of the bicycle. Even the bikes that only have a throttle mode where you just twist the throttle like a moped, pedaling is always an option, and it's always encouraged because you will increase your range. The advanced bikes do have a regenerative braking capability. The eMotion lineup has that, and also our eFlow bikes have that as well. So by basically just gently tugging on the brakes about 20%, it will use the motor to slow down instead of the brakes, and in that way it recharges the battery. The brushless hub motor is highly efficient and very reliable. It's just a fully enclosed motor, virtually maintenance-free. When you own an e-bike, a lot of it is kind of, I guess, changing your lifestyle to that of not jumping into an automobile. So there's virtually, there's no exhaust on the electric bicycles. They plug into a normal outlet to charge. On average, an e-bike will take about 4 to 5 hours and that's if it's zeroed out completely. The island is only so big, and with a lot of our bikes, you can pretty much get wherever you need to go without using your automobile. So it's a viable form of transportation. It's a viable alternative to using your car. This is a cross-style bicycle, meaning it's not really a road bike, but not a mountain bike. It's kind of in between. It's got the suspension on there and some nice components, hydraulic disc brakes, full gears, weighs in at about a little under 50 pounds. And this particular customer uses this bike to commute from Waipahu to Pearl Harbor, and it's a 24-mile round trip. This is our road style e-bike, rigid fork. It's got the low profile tires, and more or less very similar to the cross-style bike that we had just reviewed. This bike on full power pedal assist, you can reach speeds up to 25 miles plus. The Kuo here, it can be folded right up. It becomes very compact. The folding mechanism here essentially brings the bike to half of its size. The Metro is really A to B's flagship model. It was one of their original designs, and the appeal of the Metro is being able to have a lithium-ion battery here on the rear rack and also have one in the down tube. The iZip bikes are more budget entry-level models. The Vibe here is comes in at just over $1,000, and still great bikes. These two bikes here are basically our high-end performance models. Starting with the E-Flow, hydraulic disc brakes. It's got a RST Cannondale style monoshock here on the front. They both use torque sensors on pedal assist mode. So actually these bikes are smart enough to know how much pressure is being applied onto the pedals at any given time, and will activate the motor dependent on how hard you're pedaling. So this is our E-Flow competitor, and this is essentially the cross-style bike that we had reviewed earlier from Emotion, just upgraded all around. Hydraulic disc brakes. It's got the nice suspension on the front. The frame is real carbon fiber, so the bike is a bit lighter. This is more or less kind of cutting edge, kind of more for the techno oriented, and it's really kind of the future. They don't make any noise. You're not polluting. You're still getting exercise. You're enjoying your surroundings. The maintenance is much better than that of a moped. And my dad has actually been in the moped business for about 5 years, so I do have a little bit of knowledge as far as how they compare. And my dad and myself both wholeheartedly feel that the e-bike is the future of transportation.
With recent advancements in battery and electric motor technology, the e-bike can take you up to 20 miles at 20 miles per hour.
They cost almost nothing to operate, a half-cent per gallon equivalent, and require very little maintenance. A Toyota Prius, for comparison, can get 50 miles per gallon. Compare that to an e-bike, which runs on the equivalent of around 2,000 miles a gallon, 40 times more efficient.
For every mile you drive, you are releasing 1 pound of CO2 into the atmosphere. The average commuter will have released almost 1,000 pounds of carbon dioxide in a given month. E-bikes are zero-emissions vehicles.
Now let's go to Kaka'ako to see what's going on this year with powwow.
If you didn't know, POW is the impact that art has on a person, and WOW is the reaction that art has on a viewer, a sense of awe and wonderment. Together they form powwow, which is a term that describes a gathering that celebrates culture, music, and art.
In its annual week-long event in Hawaii, powwow has grown into a global network of artists and organizes gallery shows, lecture series, schools for art and music, mural projects, a large creative space named Lana Lane Studios, concerts, and live art installations from across the world.
event takes place during Valentine's Day week in Kaka'ako and brings over 100 international and local artists together to create murals and other forms of art.
It's there now, for us and for you. People walk through every day with their cameras and friends, trying to see what's happening in the art of Kaka'ako.
You know, there's this concentrated effort to get arts into Kaka'ako, right? Specifically this central area around like Cook Street and Awahi Street, or the land owned by Kamehameha Schools. And so they've taken initiative to bring in and support creativity in areas and certain blocks there. And it's interesting to watch how that unfolds. And I think it's been really supportive for a lot of artists and creative people there, myself included. I mean, I worked in one of the coffee shops there for some time. And so, you know, because of what's happening down there, I was able to meet and make great friendships that I still have today. So it's been a really kind of cool niche community right now. When you go down to Powwow, Hawaii, it's almost like there are either equal number of photographers as there are artists, or more so, and it kind of all seems like various photo opportunities, like a lot of just beautiful and stunning things to take that your camera just automatically wants to take a picture of. So it's almost hard not to constantly be taking pictures of all the stuff that's happening down there. Powwow, Hawaii just finished its 4th season, I guess, its 4th year. And this year I've noticed it was significantly smaller. I think it was 50% smaller in terms of the artists invited. And so I think as it grew, it kind of became very big in its 3rd year. And so I think there were a few issues. Now I wasn't involved with them, but I heard from various people that there were a couple of kinks. And so this 4th year was reined in, and it was very streamlined, and a lot of those kinks were worked out and moved very smoothly from what I saw, and when I was working with them and volunteering, and I know that a lot of the artists all the artists just had a great time and really enjoyed themselves. The allure of Powwow, Hawaii is that it's temporary. I mean, the whole thing about Kaka'ako right now is that it's pretty much fleeting. It's a very transient moment, and so I think Powwow exists just perfectly within that bubble. I mean, there's just so much that's changed within the month along the street, along Awahi Street and Pohukaina and all that stuff. Not just including Powwow, but all the businesses are moving, and there's kind of a migration right now going down Cook Street, and I think Night Market is moving from the block party on Awahi and moving down towards Cook. So there's all this fluctuating stuff happening. And so I think that Powwow is just a big visualization of those changes. The art at least the street art in Kaka'ako, is something to look at that is, it's an example of a lot of artist skill, international artists and a lot of local artists as well, who may not otherwise have a canvas to be seen by so many people. So I think it's great for that sort of interconnection between the artists, and to get them to collaborate with each other and be affected by each other. That's really neat too. And you know, we'd be looking at pretty dingy walls and old rusted stuff, you know, warehouse walls, if we were stuck on traffic on Ala Moana. So it's, you know, from that endpoint, it's something to look at and be impressed by. What it means to the community, I think that's depends on each viewer, what it means to each viewer. And I think there are kids within the 808 Urban community, which is a great nonprofit organization that educates kids, at-risk youth about street art and creativity and urban art. I think it means something to them different than what it means to a soccer mom who's trying to drive down Nimitz and seeing all this stuff. I think it just depends on what it is. And so art has, since it's been done, it's bringing a lot of traffic. It's definitely working for Kamehameha School's perspective, and it's got a lot of buzz and a lot of activity and a lot of attention to that area of town. We're just wondering, what will happen in the future, and once the buildings are built and a lot of that wall space is gone, I mean, then what are we going to do with Powwow Hawaii, and what is Powwow's next steps after that? Because, like I said, it's all very temporary, and we're in 4 years. There may be 4 more years before it's all really done. I mean, we don't really know how pushed back the scheduling is going to get for the construction of all those condos, but yeah, I think we're kind of wondering what's next for that.
Having seen all the vitality of these two stories, do you feel it? It's a new and contemporary local phenomenon, a new energy in the air for what could be, but what is not guaranteed to be, the rebirth of Honolulu. Watch and see.
There's a common denominator between e-bikes in Kapahulu and the grand strokes of the wall art in Kaka'ako. These two things, happening at opposite ends of the core, can only signify that, yes, there are forward-looking things happening in our city, on the streets, on the walls, and well, everywhere.
At the same time, they also signify that we have to nurture this energy to make sure changes and developments in our city are fresh, human scale, and creative, and don't take it in the wrong direction. Yes, we want bike share, we want complete streets. We want an engaging neighborhood in Kaka'ako as a home and magnet for our young people.
It's up to all of us to take a new interest in Honolulu, just as these artists and entrepreneurs do. That we watch what's happening not only in our own block, but all over the city, and that we speak up to make sure it's all in good taste and with good planning.
And most of all, we need to engage in and be part of the political process. We need to speak, write, vote, and hold our officials accountable, especially in city planning and development issues, which involve lots of public money and which touch us in our lives.
When they promise us something, we need to remember and hold them to it. We want them to be thoughtful, concerned, and consistent about doing the right thing all the time for the common good.
We want our city to be clean, safe, friendly, well-planned, and appealing in every way. We want it to be bright and organized and full to the brim with all the good things that are Hawaii. We want it to be our city, the pearl of the Pacific, and a proud product of our unique diversity. Let's hold that thought and make it happen.
So ThinkTech will continue to follow the events and achievements along the way. We'll take a look at bikes and e-bikes and art and a million things happening in our city and try to keep our hand on the pulse of its development and its best prospects. Come along with us every Sunday and through the week for the ride on ThinkTech.
And now let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech broadcasts video and audio for all of our talk shows live on the internet from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. And we replay them all night long on ustream.tv. If you missed a show or you want to replay or share any show, they're all there, archived on YouTube.
Visit ThinkTechHawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links, or go to our email list and get these links and advisories on our upcoming shows.
We also invite you to be part of our live audience in our downtown studio at Pioneer Plaza. Contact me, Jay, at ThinkTechHawaii.com. Raise your awareness in every way on ThinkTech.
And now, here's this week's ThinkTech news.
I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. Finding a parking space is about to get much tougher in the Punch Bowl area. Notice to proceed is expected to be given in early March for a project to address rockfall hazards along Prospect Street. Between Miller and Madera Streets, the city is installing mesh and rockfall fences, along with concrete barriers to keep pedestrians and cars away from the fence. The project is good for safety, but it will eliminate over 50 parking spots on the shoulder. On-street parking between Huali Street and the staircase to Madera will be permanently removed, and even more will be lost in the half-block section past Huali, where cars are currently able to park side by side with limos, extended cab pickups, and little tour shuttle buses. Parking in these areas may not be legal, but this is a densely populated area, and people have come to depend on this parking. Residents may be forced to walk long distances to get home, and this will have a spillover effect on the availability of parking in surrounding blocks. There will be more traffic in the area as people circle and circle, trying to find a space they can squeeze into. Does someone have a plan? Will the lack of parking spaces be compensated for by improved bus service in the area? How many spaces will come back after the construction is over? The community needs to have a clear vision of how the city will provide alternatives, so that tough decisions about whether to sell a car or move to another area have some basis. When it comes to similar projects elsewhere on the island, will any more consideration be given to the people who are affected by them? The final environmental assessment found that this would have no significant impact, but I think that there are a lot of Punch Bowl residents who would disagree. We have to do better than this. I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech.
And now, here's this week's ThinkTech commentary.
I'm Jay Fidell. Changing lanes in Honolulu traffic is important to get where you want to go. In fact, sometimes you can't get where you want to go without being able to change lanes. But in Honolulu traffic, with all of our maddening congestion, sometimes changing lanes is very difficult. It's just one more challenge. It was not always thus. In the good old days, you could change lanes and the people in the other lane would welcome you in. You'd signal, they'd immediately gesture yes, 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 and give you a smile and a shaka, and it was a wonderful part of life in these islands. But over the years, it slipped away. How things have changed. The congestion and the potholes have made drivers mean, and they take it out on other drivers. If you want to change lanes, lots of luck. They don't let you in. It's a barometer of our aloha, and frankly, sometimes it's not aloha at all. They stay right there, daring you. And if you really want to change lanes, you'd be in for an accident, a fight, who knows what. Worse yet, they look away, glaring into the gloaming, ignoring you as if you weren't there. Yeah, they look guilty as they stare, but stare they do, straight ahead. They know that if they turn and look at you, their transgression will be obvious, and you'll give them the kind of stink eye they deserve. So they stare away, averting and avoiding. What do? It gets dangerous. You can't change lanes. You're stuck. It's hard not to react viscerally. You think, what an incredible jerk. Denied you the basic courtesy of allowing you to change lanes even after you signaled. That he created this danger for everyone around, and that he materially lowered the standard of conduct and courtesy on our roads. You'd like to give him stink eye or worse, but he's looking away. There's not much you can do. So you hold your tongue. You think, why are people acting this way? You resign yourself not to pay them back in kind, not to refuse anyone else who wants to get in front of you. But you're closer to considering that. You're closer to being mean too, but you resist. Too bad it's come to this. Wish it hadn't, but here we are, and you have to have the patience of Job to drive on our roads. You have to show courtesy in the face of discourtesy, even recklessness. Patience isn't easy sometimes, but it'll get you and all of us a lot further. More important, the question is, how do we change these bad habits among so many people? How do we return to the good old days when people were nice to each other? How to escape the spiral downward? Well, rather than criticizing bad behavior, which on the road is not a great idea, you focus on encouraging good behavior. That's the trick. When someone wants to get in front of you, welcome him with open arms. And more important, when someone does let you in, yes, once in a while someone does, you thank him as profusely as you can. You smile, you wave, you raise your pinky, and if you're close, you give him a big, heartfelt thanks. And maybe, just maybe in that way, we'll be able to turn this thing around. From now on, We're going to be as kind as we can on the highways, no matter what. Back to the way it was. Imua, Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell for ThinkTech.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Castle & Cook, Hawaii. Investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state. Collateral Analytics. Empowering the real estate industry to make better informed property investment decisions. The Foreign Trade Zone. Bringing the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone programs to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. Galen Ho, a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company. Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island. The Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, incorporating diverse perspectives to design a flexible and forward-looking energy strategy. Hawaii Energy, the state's energy and efficiency program created to help Hawaii's residents and businesses adopt a clean energy lifestyle. Hawaii Gas, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future. Hawaii Pacific Health, bringing technology and teamwork together to transform healthcare in Hawaii. The High Tech Development Corporation, attached to DBED, is the state's leading technology agency. The Scheidler Family Foundation, supporting educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech. Okay, Maria, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Duko Ishii does. For additional times, check out OC16.tv.
Definitely, Jay. For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a guest or a volunteer, a producer or studio intern, and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech. You can watch this show throughout the week. Tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. Aloha, everyone.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.